For 500,000 years, humanity was silent. No signals, no messages. Only Earth remained adrift in space like a green tomb among the stars. Everyone believed mankind had gone extinct, until an ancient signal echoed through the void. And then hundreds of colossal warships rose from beneath the Earth. Not to attack, but to warn. They never disappeared. They were sleeping guarding a secret that could destroy the entire galaxy. The question is no longer, where did humanity go? It's this: are you ready when they return? No one remembers exactly when humanity left the Milky Way. Only one thing is certain. For 500,000 years, Earth has emitted no signals. A perfect Silencino explanation, no message, not even a footprint. For thousands of years after, many alien species who once feared human intellect and strength kept telling ghostly tale-shaunting warnings whispered across galaxies. Do not approach the blue planet. It holds no life, yet it still watches. Time passed. The fear faded. New generations saw Earth as nothing more than an empty ruin of forgotten bluestone adrift in the spiral of space. But curiosity never dies. And then, a mission was launched quietly, in secret. The command ship Solemn Light of the Solaris Star Union departed Central Dock on the 17th day of the still frost cycle. Aboard was a 30-member interspecies survey team, led by Commander Vareka, towering Velkari being, nearly 3 meters tall, his obsidian black skin armored with silver steel scales. The Velkari had once been one of humanity's fiercest enemies during the ancient invasion eras. But Varek held no hatred for humans. Quite the opposite. He had studied them, warriors of freedom with hearts capable of sacrifice. He couldn't understand how such a species could vanish without a trace. That's why he volunteered to lead the mission, to return to Earth for the first time in hundreds of millennia. The Solemn Light drifted silently through the void of the old star system. In the distance, the third planet in the orbital chain glowed with scattered light, its atmosphere still intact. The oceans reflected the pale shimmer of the central sun. From afar, Earth looked alive, but soulless. No signs of habitation, no mechanical signals, no biosignature data, the science officer reported through the comms. The surface is in total silence. That doesn't mean it's empty, Varek replied. Take us into observation orbit. The ship skimmed the upper stratosphere. The sensors began to vibrate slightly. Artificial structures detected, the tech officer exclaimed. Scattered in orbit, but not space debris. They're operational. The main display lit up, revealing strange structures floating in the black void. They glowed faintly. Their axes rotated smoothly. Some of them emitted weak energy signals, just enough to sustain minimal function. As if they were waiting. What are those? An officer asked. Defense stations, Varek muttered, narrowing his eyes. And they were never shut down. There was no time to react. Red alarms blared throughout the ship. Target lock. They're aiming at us. Switch to repulsion shields. Do not return fire. A burst of energy sliced across the ship's hull, but the shields absorbed the full impact. The rear section tilted off course, but there was no major damage. Retreat from orbital zone immediately, Varek commanded. No more casualties allowed. The Solemn Light pulled back, hiding in the shadow of the moon. The targeting ceased. But everyone on board now understood one thing. Earth was not asleep. It was watching. Commander, the tech officer croaked. We just touched the outermost protective layer. We haven't gone deep yet. Then, what lies further inside? A junior officer whispered. No one answered. Varek stepped into the command center. We don't retreat. We can't stop here. But if we go deeper and get erased, then history will remember that someone tried to understand the truth. Varek turned, his eyes burning with resolve. We continue, but this time, as if walking through a den of ancient beasts. The Solemn Light had anchored itself behind an icy asteroid, hidden in the dark fringe of the moon's shadow. From this vantage point, they could observe Earth without being seen. The planet's soft blue glow still shimmered, gently revealing no hint of violence. Except for one horrifying truth: it had just fired. Inside the control room, tension hung heavy in the air. No one spoke for over an hour. The ship's sensors gradually stabilized. When silence finally settled, Varric spoke. "I want a full energy map of the planet. Scan the subsurface down to the core if necessary." The science officer, a small, soft-bodied being with 6 flexible limbs, nodded quietly, tapping its tentacles rapidly against the console. Streams of data flooded in like a torrent. Infrared, force fields, electromagnetic flux, all rendered into holographic visuals projected across the ceiling of the command chamber. The entire crew looked up stunned. Earth was not a dead world. Beneath the layers of ancient ruins and sedimentary rock, there lay a massive subterranean network. Metallic corridors, energy cores, factories, data centers, all still operational. "That's an underground city?" someone whispered. Varric shook his head slowly. "No, it's a stronghold, a fortress." Moments later, a reconnaissance drone was deployed. There was no interference from the orbital defense systems. Apparently, they only reacted to high-level threats. The probe descended through the stratosphere, heading toward one of the zones with the strongest energy signatures, what was once North America. The image that appeared on the ship's central screen left the entire crew breathless. The city, once known as New York, had crumbled into moss-covered ruins. There was no sound, no movement, no sign of life. But when the drone scanned deeper, its infrared sensors picked up faint heat signatures from below, like a hidden heart, still pulsing quietly after all these ages. The drone dove deeper, piercing through rock, concrete, and ash until it collided with a massive metallic structure. "An underground gate," the engineering officer reported. "Fully intact. There's a protective field surrounding it." "Try breaching it?" Varric asked. "No need. It appears to be opening." The gate slowly creaked open, revealing a vertical elevator shaft leading deep underground. The drone slipped inside. Dim, flickering lights activated within the corridor as if the place had been awaiting a visitor all along. As the drone reached the 3rd subsurface level, the transmitted data became erratic, chaotic. "We're detecting stasis chambers," the biology officer reported, her voice cracking with disbelief. Images filled the screen, hundreds snow, thousands soft cryogenic pods aligned in perfect rows, all interconnected by glowing blue energy conduits. Each pod contained a human body entirely intact, held in perfect suspended animation. Their faces were peaceful, untouched by time. "They're not dead," Varric murmured. "They're waiting." No one dared to believe it. 500,000 years had passed. Every known civilization had written off humanity as extinct. And yet, right here, before their very eyes, was a species in deep sleep, not alive, not dead, but preparing to return. The moment the drone began transmitting stasis chamber data to the solemn light, the signal abruptly cut off. The display screen trembled, then turned to black. An ancient emblem appeared, a twin helix design fused with a 4-pointed star. It was a long-forgotten insignia, once recognized as the strategic symbol of post-technological humanity. Then came a voice, ancient, low, resonant, echoing like thunder from the planet's core. "The time has come. The formation will rise. Earth will reclaim its rightful place." The command room fell into utter silence. "That's a wake-up protocol," the communications officer whispered, shaken. "They programmed this," Varric said quietly. "Long ago, they knew someone would come." End of verse. Just minutes later, sensors aboard the mothership detected movement within the lower atmosphere. Massive objects, warships of unknown design, began to emerge from hidden underground installations. They ascended slowly. They did not attack. They emitted no threats. They simply rose and formed a planetary defense formation around Earth. "The fleet has awakened," Varric said, almost in awe. "Should we report this immediately to the High Council?" one officer asked. Varric shook his head. "Not yet. We don't fully understand what's happening. But I do know one thing for certain. He turned slowly, his eyes gleaming with a strange light. Earth was never a dead world. It was only waiting to be awakened. The skies above Earth erupted in light. From deep beneath the surface, hundreds of ancient warships began to rise, each vessel a mechanical behemoth, armored in obsidian black plating, moving with a fluid grace as if guided by a living will. The air trembled with a sound like the horns of a long-lost species, the call to war. Aboard the solemn light, the entire crew stood frozen, eyes locked on the main screen. What they witnessed defied all conventional understanding of military formations. There was no chaos, no delay, no sign of decay. Instead, the human warships moved with mechanical perfection, like a symphony of steel that had never paused, not even for a second in 500,000 years. "That's impossible," the tactical officer whispered. "No AI system could maintain synchronization and efficiency over hundreds of millennia." Varric said nothing at first. He was calculating. "It's not AI," he said in a low voice. "This is a combat fleet, preserved in real-time training mode, part of a larger strategic plan." In diverse, the warships silently claimed positions around the planet. Not a single shot was fired. No warnings were issued. "They're not attacking," the sensor officer reported, "but they're locking on." "They're observing," Varric corrected, "waiting to see what we do." A heavy tension spread through the command chamber. No one dared to move too quickly. Earthants thought a lifeless relic now stood revealed as a fortress, guarded by humanity's eternal sentinels, an undying fleet. In diverse, a flash of light split the sky. One of the human warships discharged a brilliant white energy beam not toward the solemn light, but at a drifting asteroid nearby. The rock shattered into dust in an instant. "A warning," Varric muttered. "They want us to understand we don't stand a chance." A sharp beep broke the silence. "Incoming signal," the communications officer shouted. "Not from the warships, from the surface." All eyes turned. It's an ancient code. Closely resembles early Solaris Alliance linguistics, possibly a proto-human dialect. "Translate it," Varric ordered. A line of text appeared on screen. "We have awakened. No longer silent. No longer submissive." Duh. The entire command room shivered as one. This wasn't an automated broadcast. It was a declaration. "We must respond," Varric said firmly. The comms officer hesitated. "You think they'll answer back?" "They're waiting. If they wanted to destroy us, they already would have." Varric stepped up to the console, his steel finger tapping lightly on the keys. "Transmit this message. We come in peace. We are not invaders, we seek only truth." The signal was encoded and sent using an ancient frequency. And then they waited. Duh. Time seemed to stretch endlessly. The entire ship was suspended in tense silence. Sensors tracked the faintest motion of the human fleet. Then, one of the warships moved forward. Its colossal frame, 3 times the size of the solemn light, glided through space like a predator in no rush to kill. Its weapon systems glowed, but were not aimed. On its hull was a symbol Varric had never seen before, a red circle enclosing 3 parallel lines, possibly the insignia of humanity's supreme command unit. A new signal arrived. This time, it was audio. A voice, deep, slow, undeniably human, spoke. Not synthetic. Alive. "State your identity," Varric gestured. "Activate real-time translation. Begin response." "I am Commander Varric of the Solaris Star Union. We are a scientific survey team, lightly equipped. We believed Earth to be abandoned, and we came seeking understanding." A long silence followed, 17 seconds. Then the voice returned. "Earth was not abandoned. Earth awaited its return." The transmission ended. The human fleet didn't move again. They stood, motionless as a steel wall, shielding their homeworld from the stars beyond. "This is the beginning," Varric whispered. "We are no longer observers. Now we are witnesses to the return of a legendary species." In diverse. Behind Varric, the strategic map blinked to life. New ships, other Solaris vessels were approaching the solar system, alerted by Solemn Light's distress signal. When the Council learns of this, they won't stay silent, the political officer warned. A fleet like that, it's a threat to the entire system. No, Varric replied calmly. It's a reminder that some species do not die. They simply wait for the right time to rise again. The Earth warships held their formation. They hovered in absolute stillness like celestial guardians, stone statues at the gates of heaven. No weapons fired, no threats spoken, and yet no one aboard the Solemn Light dared even to breathe too loudly. In the heart of the command center, a stream of data began to pour in. It wasn't sound. It wasn't visual. It was something stranger, quantum neurocodia, a theoretical form of communication thought impossible outside simulation. They're transmitting directly into our central cognition processor, the science officer stammered. It's like they're sending memory. Begin decryption, Varric ordered, his voice calm but focused. Extract block by block. Display immediately. The data began to unfold. It wasn't a message from a single entity. It was the remembrance of a civilization. Duh. The ceiling of the command chamber lit up with flowing images, living history, burned into quantum memory. Humans, step by step, spreading across the stars. They weren't just conquerors. They were architects, dreamers, builders of tomorrow. Cities rose on Mars. Energy fields bloomed across Titan. Quantum lattice networks thrummed across the alpha clusters, powering new worlds. And then, it happened. A rupture, one that tore through space and time itself. Its origin was unknown, but the aftermath was clear. Probes at the galactic edge stopped responding. Planets vanished. Entire systems went dark. They weren't defeated, Varric whispered. They retreated, with purpose. The images accelerated, showing humans dismantling colonies, abandoning stations, deleting their own records. But they weren't running. They were erasing their presences, crubbing themselves from the memory of the galaxy. And beneath it all, preparation. The building of stasis vaults, the embedding of fail-safe signals, the burial of command fleets in planetary crust. Not extinction, not exile, strategy, indiversion. The final image was of a massive circular chamber. Thousands of stasis pods pulsed with dim blue light, all connected to a glowing crystalline core at the center. Hovering above that core was an inscription, ancient human glyphs, automatically translated on screen. When time is right, memory shall awaken. When the galaxy calls, we will answer. At that exact moment, sensors aboard the Solemn Light spiked. A tremendous surge of energy pulsed outward from Earth's core. But it wasn't destructive. It didn't resemble a weapon. It radiated like a heartbeat, deliberate, rhythmic, alive. A ripple of reactivation. The stasis systems, they're rebooting, the biology officer whispered. We're witnessing the rebirth of a species that has waited for this moment over millions of cycles. Duh. Then came sound, a voice, not encoded, not disguised, human. We are the inheritors, those chosen to remember. You have entered the gate without knowing what it holds. But if you come with truth in your heart, listen. The voice was slow, deliberate, each word like stone dropped into water. Humanity did not vanish. We hid not out of fear, but out of mercy. A force was once awakened at the galactic edge. It cannot be explained. It does not live, does not die. It only exists. We fought it. We won. But the price was too great. So we slept to allow time to rebuild, to let the stars forget what horror looked like. But if you are here, that means it is rising again. End of verse. Silence took over the command deck. Varric stared at the screen, mind racing. The implications were enormous. They haven't returned for glory, he said slowly. They've returned for duty, for an oath made long ago to guard the galaxy against something far worse than war. The bridge crew stood speechless. They had uncovered not a sleeping relic, but a sleeping guardian. And now that guardian had stirred. End of verse. Then another voice arrived, clear, Direct, live. It wasn't broadcast through memory or history. It came from one of the warships itself. Commander Varric, you are the first to see the gate, and you did not close it. So you will be the first to walk through. Gasps rippled through the room. The voice bore authority, not violent, but unshakable. An invitation and a command all at once. Varric stood tall, his scaled armor catching the glint of the ambient light. "Prepare a shuttle," he said. "I'm going." "Alone?" asked the political officer, alarmed. This could be a trap. Varric turned to him, eyes resolute. "If they wanted us dead, they wouldn't have waited. They want witnesses, not prisoners." Duh. As the shuttle detached from the solemn light, it floated gently toward the nearest human battleship, the one marked with the 3-line insignia. No targeting systems activated, no warnings were issued. A docking bay opened, as if triggered by Varric's presence alone. Inside, soft blue lights lined the corridor. A human figure stepped forward, tall, ageless, draped in silver and black. Their face was unmistakably human, but their eyes held stars. "Welcome back," the figure said. "We've waited for you to ask the right question." And behind them, a massive door slowly began to open, etched with one final message. "The Watchers have returned. The reckoning has begun." Space held an eerie, reverent silence as the solemn light slowly descended. Below them was Earth, no longer a dead planet, but a living giant stirring from a 500,000-year slumber. Rivers of energy pulsed like arteries across the continents. Emission towers blinked in rhythmic unison. It wasn't chaos. It was resurrection, of ritual encoded in the very bones of the planet, crafted long before memory. Commander Varric stood before the main screen, eyes fixed on the vision unfolding. Earth reawakening. The heart of a former warrior beat slower now, not out of fear, but awe. "We're not witnessing technology," he said quietly. "We're witnessing the return of a civilization that once carried the galaxy on its shoulders." Duh. A signal arrived from a human warship identified as Horizon Prime. It requested only one thing: a single representative from the Solaris Union to enter Earth's internal communications system. No armed escort, no infiltration tools. "We're not allowed to carry weapons," the security officer protested. "They could vaporize us with a thought. And we couldn't stop them even if we brought an entire fleet," Varric replied coldly. "I'm going. Alone." He stepped into the shuttle. The hatch sealed behind him. Inside the cockpit, a navigation route had already been programmed remotely, pointing to a massive complex deep beneath the planet's surface, beneath the fabled continent once known in ancient lore as Atlantis. Diverse. When the shuttle touched down, a vast metallic gate opened before it. No guards, no guns. Only a long corridor glowing with gentle light. The floor was made of smooth gray crystal, resembling cosmic stone. The walls bore inlaid glyphs, not written language, but emotive symbols: focus, reception, caution, and trust. Varric walked in silence. At the end of the corridor, he entered a tall circular chamber. In the center hovered a transparent energy sphere, spiraling with hundreds of light streams orbiting a crystalline data core. Then a voice spoke, not from a mouth, but from the very metal surrounding him. "Welcome, Solaris being. You have entered the collective memory of humanity." Duh. A column of light enveloped him. For a moment, Varric felt as though he was falling not through gravity, but through time. Images flooded his mind. Human children laughing in the gardens of the Marsara orbital station. Scientists placing bare hands on quantum cores, sensing their vibrations. Then, war erupting at the edge of the galaxy, not between species, but between humans and something else, something unnameable. We once awakened an ancient gate at the threshold of the dark void. We called it the invisible nexus, and we made a mistake. The vision shifted. A planet shattering, purple light blanketing the stars. Shapeless shadows drifting between galaxies, like spirits seeking hosts. We couldn't destroy it. We could only seal it. End of verse. To do that, the voice continued, we brought all of humanity home, not to live but to sleep. Our living bodies became the power source for a dimensional shield, one that cloaked Earth from the gaze of that being. We were not cowards. We were the gatekeepers. Varric's throat tightened. Then, why awaken now? Silence followed. Then the answer came. Because the shield is weakening. And because you opened the door. End of verse. The final image was a galactic map, pulsing with bright nodes, each a living planet. But one region, the far shadow of the galaxy, was turning violet. The infection was spreading faster than anything recorded before. It has sensed us again, and it is coming. We need you not to fight, but to remember what was, and what you've forgotten. End of verse. The light receded. Varric stood motionless beneath the towering dome. Another gate opened, leading back to the surface. His shuttle awaited. The navigation system was reactivated. No farewell was given. But Varric understood. The goodbye had been spoken 500,000 years ago. End of verse. Back aboard the solemn light, something in Varric's gaze had changed. He was no longer just a commander. He was a bearer of memory. He summoned the entire crew, no secrets. He told them everything. Humanity did not die. They were not afraid. They chose to become the final fortress. And now they need us not as allies, but as storytellers. End of verse. Days later, a transmission was sent to the entire Solaris Union. Earth has awakened. The sleepers are preparing to rise once more, not to conquer, but to protect. We must no longer call them legend. They are truth. They are the final border the darkness cannot cross. A new Solaris warship approached the solar system. From afar, they saw Earth's fleet expanded. No longer just a planetary shield, but a celestial ring, forming an interplanetary barrier. A message echoed across all frequencies. If you still believe in life, follow the light. If you still believe in truth, let your heart be your guide. And if you still believe in tomorrow, then you are our kin. Earth was no longer a memory. It was the dawn of a new age. And in the memory of all sentient races, humanity would no longer be spoken of as once was, but as a truth returned, a fire reignited, a home remembered. If you felt something awaken inside you, like and subscribe. The dawn has just begun.